To me, the habitat is not restricted to one town or one country. I always feel at home wherever I go. And if I don't feel at home, I know that something's wrong with me, you know. I'm Goh Poh Seng. My friends call me Poh Seng. Poh Seng means precious star. And this was handpicked by my paternal grandfather. I was born in 1936 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, or Malaya at that time. When I was 7 years old, I was in the kitchen at my parents' house, watching the women folk cooking and chopping fish heads and so on. And I slipped and fell off the stool and banged my head on the ground. When I woke up, I became a writer. I was first diagnosed as a Parkinsonian about 17 years ago. It's a slow, relentless process. Parkinson's disease. All that space to negotiate, but the medium is no longer air. It has thickened into a treacle and trapped like a fly. It's so hard to move. The struggle saps my strength. All my life I'd wanted to be a bird. This community is called Lark Harbour. It's situated on the south shore of the Bay of Islands, based in Newfoundland. And there are so many places where I go to, a beach, a park. I find that there's nobody around there at all, which is just the opposite in Singapore, where you have 3 to 4 million people in an island which is 1/10 of Newfoundland size. You know, nature itself, unspoiled, has been a great boon, great benefit and consolation for me when I have Parkinson's. I don't know why. And I seem to be writing more and more. I'm becoming a nature poet. You know? That the nature itself, and then the people, they're undemanding. We have a handful of friends here in the village, and we see each other very often. Very low-key kind of social life where we cook for each other, right? We go for walks in the park, giving me a lot of nourishment. And with Parkinson's, I get very tired easily. So in a place like this, I can conserve my energy and write the works that I want to write. Once I began to settle down to my student days, I began to read voraciously and drank voraciously and lived voraciously. And then I thought that would be the direction I should be heading for, to live a full life. And then the notion of wanting to be a writer, you know. It was another romantic notion, rather naive. But I thought that as long as I can write one stanza that stands up, then it's worthwhile dying for, you know. So I thought, why should I study medicine when I'm going to be this writer? So I took a year off, went to London, and I wrote nothing. I wrote nothing. In the 1950s, during the time when I was a medical student and I wanted to be a writer, I completed a collection of stories set in Dublin, and there is another part to the book which is novella length. I think it was towards the end of 1960 that I returned to Asia, and I got a job as a young doctor in a regional hospital, provincial hospital in Johor Bahru, and I was busy working there. And then I met Margaret when there was a function at the hospital. And after that, we got married within 3 weeks, and I went over to Singapore with her, where I was stuck for 25 years. I ended up with 4 children, 4 sons. But I think the first area I was interested in was the arts and culture. I started off by publishing a magazine, editing a magazine called Goh Poh Seng, which was the first literary intellectual magazine in Singapore. Then I wrote the play and produced it. And after that, I wrote 2 more plays, and that formed the catalytic group that drew in a lot of other people until it became a culture art club where we had drama, poetry, workshops, exhibitions, ceramics, anything at all that is creative. Because I felt anyway that Singapore was very bereft of cultural institutions and organizations. And after that, I think it was succeeding quite well, and I was plucked out of that and was appointed chairman of the National Theatre Trust by the government. This was a position of great power because you practically draw up the blueprint for cultural development in the newly established nation of Singapore. So I took that position for about 6 years, at the end of which we had a symphony orchestra, a ballet company, theatre groups in various languages, the classical Chinese orchestra, and then started the idea of an art gallery. I've published 4 novels. I've just finished the 5th one, and I've published 5 books of poetry, and I'm just going to bring out the 6th one, Remembrances and Selected Poems.